Hello, I am Nimja, and this is Nimja Live, February of 2022, with the theme Mental Upgrade. Hello everyone. Now before we begin, I'd like to thank my patrons I'd like to thank my patrons for their continued support and the donations. It is absolutely humbling to see how many there are of you. It's almost 1,400 now. It's amazing. Let me first tell you how this is going to be. The recording will be available on the site after the trance with the background music and maybe some cutting if I make any mistakes. During the live, I of course will not be able to chat because the keyboard is allowed. And I want to thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing so much. Thank you. The live itself is pretty easy. Participation is completely up to you, although I do ask you to remain quiet during the trance. I will switch the chat to members only, and other than that, you are free to chat. First, we will have a discussion of the theme, then will the trance itself start, usually about 1/4 past, and after the trance, after a moment for me to double check that everything is okay, we can do the Q&A. Does that sound good to you? Great. Now, the theme today, as someone might have noticed, is mental upgrade. The idea is not just that we make you better, that this happens in the future. Just like the other options, this will probably be a sci-fi fantasy where it might be a quite literal mental upgrade. Oh, and I would also like to welcome both newcomers and returners alike. I saw that there was one person whose name momentarily escaped me who hadn't seen a live in like 2 years. And there's a few people completely new to this, which is also really nice. There we go. Now then, mental upgrade. So, we're in the future and it's bright, and I'm glad you're catching a live. So then, with blankets and hopefully hydration ready as well, it makes you think of the Borg Collective, a robo-mind. Oh, that reminds me actually. Oh no. Oh, that explains it. Okay. I will respond a little slower than usual because I forgot to switch the live to low latency. So there's a bit more latency between me reacting on the chat than normal. Having your drivers updated, your mental drivers updated. I like that idea. Mental drivers updated. We'd go to someone to program our mind. Yes, maybe this is a service store. Just like you would get a new phone, you'd get a new mind. And upgrading your mind and readjusting some of your flaws. Cyberman is not exactly the theme I'm going for. Hypermind. Well, I don't expect that. Various options for the upgrade, of course. Various options. The good thoughts boosted while the negative thoughts are drained. That could be nice. Good thoughts boosted, negative drained. Although a lot of people think that negative thoughts are in any way bad. Positive and negative thoughts are simply opinions. An upgrade for the mind. An hypno-mind. I mean, I'm sure you would love to have all the unnecessary bloatware away, but you know how it is with new devices. There might be some software installed that takes a while to remove. I'm actually curious how your mind would react to bloatware. Have you tried turning your thoughts off and on again? Increase our sensitivities. Remove brat codes. Ooh, I do like rebooting to complete. Maybe even multiple reboots. Making room for other things. I like that as well. Making room. Removing those thoughts that you don't really need. I mean, no matter how good minds get, you'll always find something to improve. Unplug is another term for falling. And no, this is not scripted. I am taking your suggestions and I'm writing them down. So, other than some minor elements, this is what I use to do this. Experiencing technical difficulties before the visit. Oh, wait, yeah, like maybe your mind is glitching, which is why you want to check up on it anyway. Oh, I like the idea of a glitching mind. Ooh, Iris, that's a good suggestion too. Test running changes with repeating, making sure that the integration was successful. Like, can you repeat this phrase for me to check that everything is working? Defragging. Maybe the giggling would also be a bug that we can fix. No more bratting for you. Obviously, that is very much a bug. Oh, by the way, for those of you curious about my handwriting, I do want to point out that I'm writing this as fast as possible. So this is not exactly my normal, like, important handwriting. I'm sure that some of you think that bratting is a feature. We'll see if I'll leave it in. It might not be supported anymore on the newer hardware. Such a shame. It's so easy to tease. Spinny wheel of death. And how do I program your brain? With wires, helmets? I haven't decided yet. Actually, oh man, this is a horrible word. Compatibility issues. Compatibility is a horrible word to actually write out fully in pen. For some reason it's easier to type. There's like a nice rhythm to it. Now I think I have enough to go by. So let's prepare. A blue screen during the upgrade. Well, we'll see. And who needs restraints? It's just a mental upgrade. I'm sure you won't be any trouble if your mind is disconnected. All right. Thank you, everyone. Please prepare yourself for trance. Keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all time. Do not take pictures, etc., etc. And like always, this is a gentle trance, so we won't do things like restriction and stuff like that. So participation is completely up to you. If any suggestion is uncomfortable, you can always adjust it freely. You're not required in any way to participate. It's up to you what you want to do and how much you want to listen. I will switch the chat to members only, which will mean that almost nobody can chat, which keeps the trance section nice and quiet. While this happens, just relax. Everything will be fine. There we go. It is all ready to begin. Check, check. Then we move the mic into the recording position. If it wants to participate, there we go. With how much I move this mic around, sometimes it turns just a little. Now I hope for you that you are all ready. If you're not, well then, you should have been. I've given you plenty of warning by now. Please get comfy and enjoy. Also, my assistant will also signal the end of the trance. So if you are not listening and you're not paying attention to the spiral on the screen, you can still know when it's over. Let me see. Everything is good. Hello, I am Nimja, and this is Nimja Live Mental Upgrade. Imagine for a moment a world in the future, technology having advanced enough to be able to change and upgrade certain parts of yourself should you want to or need to. Close your eyes and imagine. Outwardly, the world still pretty much looks the same, though nobody has a phone in their hand since it's all in their head. Minds can be upgraded as easily as any other product, and it would be time by now, because as you walk around you sometimes glitch. Strange stutters in your vision or in your auditory capacity. Strange repetitions and sensations, sometimes making sense and other times simply making you forget what you were thinking about. It can be strange to find your memory glitching. Sentences that seem to make sense at the time begin from a different story. Maybe it is time to upgrade. Maybe it is a good moment to reevaluate the many processes in your mind that you've been building up over time. Everyone needs an upgrade, right? And the best part is, in the current structure, it wouldn't even cost anything. It is all taken care of. All you have to do is go to a service store and select what you want. You already decided this yesterday, but apparently you'd forgotten. All these thoughts are coming back to you now. And I'm sure it doesn't take much imagination to find yourself traveling to the nearest mental service store. There, the store itself is pretty much blank, much like your mind at times. There isn't really much to display. The imagination is so much more powerful than a simple image, so much more complex than a sound, so much more intricate than any tactile sensation. You wonder if you've been here before, if the glitches have made you forget your previous upgrade. It could be. In the store, the helper approaches you with a smile. Ready for a new upgrade? Oh, of course, I'm surprised you are still walking around with that older model. Surely we can do better than that. Please, sit down. Let us help you. Let us show you a selection of possibilities. As soon as you sit down, a strange tingling sensation in the back of your head switches you off and you drop in trance. Even though this moment is barely a second long, your mind explores the strange sensations that travel up and down your nerves. All the endings are recalibrating as if your brain is rebooting, preparing itself for an upgrade. As soon as you wake again, you find yourself blinking. Awake is a mere moment away from a new mind. Of course, the store had to check the compatibility of your mind with all the mental upgrades that they offer. First, they ask, would you like us to run a defragmentation and cleaning session? It is quite common to run these every so often, but people rarely take the time. All right then. Now, most people experience this sort of like a dream, in which their thoughts are restructured and reordered, prepared for copying to a new, clean system. So go ahead and drop once again, and allow yourself that strange sensation when your thoughts are being pulled forward one by one, examined, and then pushed deep into the back. Your unconscious, slowly reorganizing every single thing until there's little left. It's important to make room for all the new things that will be possible after. And any thoughts that have been draining or otherwise stuck are isolated and kept safe, so you can evaluate them later and learn from it, so you will not repeat the same mistake. What's also interesting is that while this is happening, it's almost as if some kind of strange, tactile dream is happening all around you. Sights, sounds, sensations, all strangely structured and reorganizing themselves as your mind is being pushed and pulled, block after block. How long this took is difficult to say, because by the time you wake, the store assistant is somewhere completely different. While they were standing in front of you before, they seemed to be working on something in the back. It might have been a while. It might have been a moment. They do notice you sort of reactivating again. Let's see then what models we have available to you. Considering your current state, I guess we can expand the processing power and RAM of your mind and allowing for a bit more flexibility in your imagination. When we do this process, you will get various options available to you. Just think, and it will happen. Whenever you like something or you want to skip an option, simply allow your mind to react, and everything will be perfect. Now, what I do need to do is, after you've made your choice, I will have to reboot your mind once again to install those changes. So close your eyes, and one by one, various options will drift past. While you are not consciously aware of them, the different ideas are still there. Fascinating, interesting, responsive ideas, openness, imagination, curiosity, stability, patience, understanding, and so many more options are all drifting by, allowing you to subtly adjust your mind to an improved state. Afterwards, you almost have to smile as a giant OK button floats in view. It's very satisfying to press it. You mentally reach out and drop as your mind is going to reboot at a very low level. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop. Deep. Open your mind as we take your old mental abilities away. Copy all the data and install it. And install it into your new mind. Some connections made to make sure that everything is working. A self-test. And then it is time to boot. 1, 2, slowly waking. 3, 4, more aware. 5, 6, almost there. 7, 8, almost awake. And 9, 9, 9, 9. Okay, hold on. Something is not quite right yet. Let me drop you back down deeper and deeper. I believe I need to recalibrate a few things. There are some compatibility issues with your mind and the new upgrades, but your body will rapidly adapt. Just give it a moment. Let me also make sure that none of the factory suggested applications are installed because you didn't want them. And I will be careful not to remove too much. Don't want to drain you of your free will now, do we? Drop. There we go. That's better. Instantly more relaxed. Your body just sinking down and your mind opening up itself completely to the upgrade. Especially your own stability and patience get a big upgrade, allowing you to handle whatever comes your way even more efficiently. This time, after I count you up, you might find yourself slightly disoriented, as your body and mind are still adapting to the new hardware. But after that, the mental upgrade will be complete. 1, 2, slowly waking. 3, 4, more aware. 5, 6, almost there. 7, 8, almost awake. And 9, 10, awake. That's better. That looks to be more functional. Now I still have to do a few tests to be certain that everything is working as intended. I am going to say some sentences, and I'd like you to repeat them verbatim. Some of them may not make sense, but it is important to repeat them as exactly as possible, because any glitches in your mind might show up if you fail to repeat perfectly. Is this understood? Very good. I am repeating these words. I am repeating everything you say. My mind is functional and repeating. My thoughts are on hold while I'm repeating. I am dropping in trance as I'm repeating. I am becoming more mindless in this state. Repeating words without thought. I want to complete the upgrade. Compatibility is important. Good thoughts amplified. Patience increased. Feeling stronger. Feeling stable. 1-3 Alpha 9. I am repeating everything you say. I follow every command. Very good. You can stop repeating. Your brain is functioning perfectly. It will listen to your mind exactly. In a moment, I am going to snap my fingers, and when I tell you to wake, your mind will be completely yours again. Enjoy the upgrade. Wake. And welcome back. I hope the upgrade is satisfactory and that you come back if you ever need an improvement again. Whew. Let me switch everything around. There we go. And welcome back, everyone. That was, how long was that? About 18 minutes, a bit more. And depending on what I want to do, I double check it right now just to make sure that everything is okay. I don't do all the editing. I just do some quick checks to make sure that what I want to see and what is there is all good. And I usually check sound levels real quick. And what's also interesting is when I make a mistake, I actually make a mark in the timeline so that I can easily like find it and fix it if I want to. And very well done. Let me see. And I hope you enjoyed some of the intentional glitches that I included. Let me see. And there. And it was a strange trance, but still a very enjoyable one to experiment with. I wonder if I should say that this one has technically no induction. I might want to classify this one as just a fantasy where people should probably listen to something in front of it. And let me see, the rest all looks okay. So, very, very nice. And Leah, it is completely all right. And I did throw in some confusion bits intentionally. And Hatter's Vixen, this is how I record basically all my files. I don't write a script at the beginning, I just improvise on notes that I have. Making sure that that is saved so we don't lose anything. And Eternal Fantasy, that filter is there. Any file that does not have an induction should be used with something else. And welcome back, everyone. I'll just say wake once more for safety. And let's begin the Q&A. Once again, I'd like to apologize. Normally, I have it switched to low latency so I can see your questions more easily. SOC, I have a Rode NT USB. I also have the previous mics that I used on the site. Dianta asks, free will, I need that sometimes. Becca Rose asks, hey, this question hasn't been set for a month. 2 months, technically. What was for dinner tonight, then? Tonight I had stampot boerenkool. Several people are asking, what was with 13A9? I just wanted to have some semi-random characters that felt like repeating would feel interesting. And I am a programmer, so yes, I can type very fast. I can almost type as fast as I'm talking. The dinner I had is boerenkool, which is a mix of a almost spinach-like vegetable with potato mash, gravy and sausage. And I also added in some grated cheese. Space Princess asks, will you be doing more little space hypnosis? Eventually, yes. Oh, kale. Yes, kale, that's the thing. Thank you. I always forget what boerenkool is called in English. KJ asks, what's the difference between a nerd and a geek? Nerds tend to be more sciencey, computery based, and geeks is just a catch-all term for someone who's very knowledgeable about a specific area. Like a music geek or an anime geek. Leia asks, what's your favorite candy? Possibly wine gums. Wormguts asks, do you have a favorite South Park character? That's an interesting question, actually. I don't know. I quite like Kenny's story, especially with the Coon trilogy. Sorry, the Coon. And, I mean, Butters is also kind of funny. Nadine asks, what superhero would make the best therapist? Charles Xavier, obviously. No contest. Space Princess asks, what's your favorite scent? I quite like lavender. Official Moose of Canada asks, how do you feel when you see a bunch of us talking about never hearing the end of particular non-sleep files because we pass out? Apparently, I'm doing my work well if you are that out of it. Mastermind asks, was your first program output, hello world, I am Nimja? No, but that is a very fun one. Sharkboy asks, can I ask how you made the trance music behind your videos? I composed it in Reason music software. But it's a very simple warm pad, so almost any kind of music software would have something similar. And I am indeed a Capricorn. My birthday is at the end of the year. Oh, speaking of, oh my god, I almost forgot. Thank you so much. A few of you sent really lovely birthday and Christmas cards. I didn't, I think a few got lost in the mail. I am not sure. I have personally thanked everyone that I could trace back. I think there's one that I couldn't trace back. Angel McPherson asks, what blocks dreaming? That's a very, very, very complex question, actually. And do remember that whatever star sign you are, it is a mere differentiation of the year in 12, just like the months. So I might as well say that I'm a December child or a late Generation X, which is still the coolest generation name. Andrews asks, opinions on having your snoot booped? Only with consent. Caramello asks, is it possible to still send you cards or drawings? Of course, you can always send me cards or drawings. Angel McPherson asks, what is your favorite color? This question actually has been asked to me in quite a few lives. It is the clear blue of a winter sky. Sharkboy asks, may I ask where you are from? I am from the Netherlands. I am Dutch, but my accent is not as Dutch as most Dutch people. Nadine asks, can Sir sing on this lovely Sunday evening? I did. Leah asks, where's the best place or relaxing place you've ever been? I've been in quite a few places that I found really gorgeous. Probably like the south of Ireland is one of my favorites. And I will consider a star sign series, but at the same time, there is already like enough stuff related to it. Falcon Doe asks, is there a pinpoint moment when you realized how powerful your voice is? Well, voices don't magically become powerful. It also requires effort and practice to learn to say things in a specific way. Jan Mars asks, how did you feel the first time you revealed your face to the community? Not that special. I've given presentations in real life before. Official Moose of Canada asks, what were your first words? And how weird is it that they were, hello, I am Nimja? They weren't. I was actually asking where the nearest computer was, but I was a bit early. Miss Self-Destruct asks, ever been to Germany? Yes, many times. I have been to quite a lot of European countries. I live in Amsterdam right now. Accidental Alien asks, I feel like if you were an 80s Euro disco star, you'd be like Mike Marine. The thing is, though, even though I was born in the 80s, my main growing up was in the 90s and early 2000s. Sharkboy asks, what got you started? Happenstance, basically. I read some things in a science magazine when I was 11. Nadine asks, what is the most useless invention of all time? I don't have an answer, I'm sorry. Most useless invention. Soap operas? No. The thing is, almost everything has a use because entertainment is a valid use, and something completely silly and nonsensical has a use because people enjoy how silly it is. Eternal Fancy asks, what color is your pen? A very standard blue. See, the useless machine isn't a useless invention. It's entertaining. Look at how many YouTube videos are there for the useless machine. Actually, the most useless invention would get attention for being the most useless. So thereby, it's like you cannot reward the most boring person, because being the most boring person is an interesting aspect of that person. So then the second place person would become the most boring person, and then the third place, etc., etc. Katie asks, what's your apocalypse plan? Not having one. As in not having an apocalypse. Jezebel asks, if a thing didn't have a use, why was it invented? Usually because people like asking silly things. Nadine asks, if you had a special ability, what would it be? Maybe the ability to weave words together in a fascinating narrative that captures the attention of people near you, that somehow allows their minds and attention to focus on what you say awake. Something like that. KG asks, Kirk or Picard? I grew up with Picard. I think Picard is the more interesting captain. But Kirk has its place. Eternal Fancy asks, what's the best hide-and-seek hiding place? It doesn't matter, because if I say Marco, I'm sure you'll say Polo. The narrator asks, do you ever deal with imposter syndrome? Yes, I am also sometimes uncertain about my own abilities. Nor asks, have you ever broken a bone? I have not. I have slight hypermobility, so I am not so likely to break something, but I am very likely to twist something, which is very, very painful. Miss Self-Destruct asks, is your voice as captivating in Dutch as it is in English? Let's hear some Dutch, please. Before I answer this, the way my voice is captivating depends on my tonality as well. It doesn't have to be captivating. It can just be excitedly talking about programming or nerds. Or other nerdy things, games, whatever. En natuurlijk kan ik iets in het Nederlands zeggen met een zachte stem die ook heel fijn voelt. Also, Unleash the Fair asks, Picard, Janeway or Cisco? I have strong opinions about Janeway, mostly that the writers of the show completely underutilized one of her most story important aspects, which is that she's a new captain. Nadine asks, can you go 5 minutes without teasing us as an audience? Becca Rose asks, show us the strict tone then? No. Official Moose of Canada asks, do you like Nerds candy? I actually haven't had that much of it. Westlake Angel asks, how would you program your little's mind? With little compatible code, of course. Nopiap asks, pancakes with Nutella or cheese? That's actually very easy. I don't like Nutella. However, pancakes with chocolate sprinkles is delicious. But I'm also for pancakes with cheese. And a combination that someone recently pointed out to me is pancakes with bacon bits and maple syrup, which is really tasty. Also, you can have pancakes with some really delicious things. I also enjoy experimenting with vegan food. Iris asks, what is a thing that happened in a life that nobody will ever let you live down? Well, if I answer that, I remind everyone again, so I prefer not to answer that particular one. Xenix mentions programming a little with little code. Oh yes, you don't need much code to program a little, just a little bit of code. Actually, I know which language you need. You need AML, Adorable Machine Language. Jezebel says, vegan food is delicious if you add bacon. No, the thing is that there's actually a lot of really tasty vegan food. However, when you try to make vegan food taste the same as like non-vegan food, it's like trying to make bacon taste like strawberries. Strawberries and bacon are both tasty. However, don't try to make one taste like the other. Nadine asks, is it true that if you try chocolate sprinkles on bread, you'll never go back? Oh yes, hagelslag is absolutely delicious. Angelic Dirt asks, where's my bunnies? I think wisdom is holding on to them for you. Also, saying hagelslag in the middle of an English sentence is harder than you'd think because of two sounds that are not in English. Annalise de Fer asks, do you have a chart for how many orgasms you've caused? Do you have one for how many bunnies you've had launched at you? No, I wonder if it would be easy to count the bunny commands. And official Moose of Canada, there's actually a restaurant chain in the Netherlands called the Vegan Junk Food Bar, and it is delicious. It's really good. Eternal Fancy asks, do the Dutch put chocolate sprinkles on everything? Of course not. Also, apparently in a survey, they asked like who eats sprinkles directly from the package, and according to them, only 33% of Dutch people eat it directly from the package. When someone asked me if that was true, I said, that seems low. Arwen asks, is it possible to hypnotize someone in a language that they don't speak? Up to a point, as long as you get the intent of the hypnotist, as in they want you to go in trance, then they can. However, it is difficult to communicate specifics. And Jezebel makes a very good point. Even if we manage to count the number of buns that have been launched towards me, the number of ones I actually deserve is almost impossible to count. I don't think that any of you who don't live in the Netherlands are aware that the chocolate sprinkles, or the sprinkles in general in the Netherlands, are not the cheap sprinkles that you know. They are actual chocolates. They're really good. And they are perfectly delicious to just eat. I must say though that on crackers or on bread they do get even better. And so the Dutch sprinkles are much, much better than the baking sprinkles most people have access to. Because most baking sprinkles are just sugar. And yes, there's... Anyway, we are talking a lot about sprinkles. Let's move on. So, there's some things that the Netherlands does well. The other one that's really tasty is stroopwafels, the syrup waffles. If you have original ones, they're really good. I think the only useless invention is one that nobody really wants to use, not even to laugh at. So something really just boring. I can easily think of a few silly inventions, like a toilet paper counter. It counts how many sheets of toilet paper you use, giving you useless statistics like you have used this many sheets this month. And Janta asks, what is your favorite thing about the Netherlands besides hagelslag, and what is the least favorite thing? Favorite thing is very stable economy and really good internet. Least favorite thing is it's kind of missing some emotion. Like a bit like the Germans, we are very literal and down to earth. And sometimes it's nice to have a bit more emotion in your country. Sharkboy asks, how long does it take you to write a script? So I have helpers to write transcripts of my audio files. I don't actually write scripts. I improvise. Ooh, that's a good question, Iris. Can you be a somnambulist for certain people but not for others? You can definitely only be a somnambulist for some people. Hypnosis is about trust. It's about how comfortable you feel in certain situations. There's lots of people that find it, for example, very easy to fall to my voice but not to someone else, or the other way around. It's all about what you connect with and who you connect with. And even then, it's about how deep you feel comfortable going. Space Princess asks, what is the best remedy for tummy cramps? Fluids and cuddles. Careful cuddles, of course. And I'm sure that a pet rock with a USB port is something that people still enjoy. Mew asks, favorite music with hypnotic elements? I prefer sort of melodic ambient music when it comes to more hypnotic elements. Sort of like a really gentle trance. KJ says, I love your passion when you talk about hypnosis. Thank you. Oh, Sharkboy asks, what is a somnambulist? So somnium is the Latin name for dreaming. A somnambulist is a person who dreams easily, or in the case of hypnosis, someone who takes suggestions very easily. It is a medical name for someone who goes very deeply into trance. Lakeside Miners asks, did you make that shirt just for the lives? I didn't make it. Someone else made it, asked my permission to have it be made, and sent me a copy. Official Moose of Canada says, you should check out the game Moose Life on Steam. It's a psychedelic trance shooter that has a moose in it. Actually, I saw a shooter on itch.io that was super psychedelic. Can I find... I think it's called Juice World. I had to look that up. Katie asks, what is the opposite of a somnambulist? A skeptist? No. Maybe someone who has difficulty going into trance, but mostly that is a case of confidence and trust. Yumi asks, do you have some lucid dream stuff planned for the future, or do you plan on doing some? I do have one called lucid dreaming. Becca Rose asks, do you ever experience dom drop? Yes, I do. If I've done some very intense like sessions with someone, I sometimes need a bit of time to reset or recover myself. Mokali asks, most unconventional but nice napping spot you've fallen asleep in? It's not really unconventional, but there was a tree in my hometown that had a really nice curve in one of the upper branches that was really comfortable. Nadine asks, favorite Weird Al song? A long, long time ago. Deanta asks, what does dom drop feel like? So dom drop is the opposite of sub drop. When you do something intense for a while, like doing an intense hypnosis session or something else, or like if you go to a concert or go to something like very intense for a while, like a conference or a concert, after the conference, most people, like during the conference, you have a high. And afterwards, you feel low because your body has been in a high for a while. And it can't produce that much hormones for a long time. So both as a dominant and a submissive perspective, that high is usually associated with staying in one place for a while. So staying in a submissive or a dominant place for a while. Sharkboy asks, do you like hammocks? Well, some of them. I was in a really nice hammock in Canada about 3 months ago. 4 months ago. Official Moose of Canada asks, a song band that always brings you back to your teenage angst days. I didn't really have teenage angst. I was too nerdy. I was enjoying the Nintendos and the advent of computers and the rise of the internet. It was amazing. 90s was awesome. And yes, it's a bit like post-con depression. People call that also con drop. Mastermind asks, do you really think that going deeply into trance and suggestibility are the same thing? No, not at all. Depth of trance is a complicated subject, so suggestibility is the openness to accept a concept. This has nothing to do with how deep you are in trance. In fact, there are ways to do waking trances. So you can give suggestions while someone is not in a deep trance. Katie asks, how quickly do you usually notice something? How quickly do you usually notice if something is recurring? Fairly quickly. Jezebel mentions that she has this incredible period of self-doubt during subdrop. Stay hydrated, eat protein, and talk to people that love you helps. Andrefus asks, what's your favorite Pokemon? Meow. Yes, The word drop in, con drop and sub drop are kind of like confusing, but I do say it in a different way. Neighborhood Bisexual asks, are you a more touch-heavy person, or do you avoid most non-intimate touch? I would say that with the right people, I am like very touch-heavy. However, I need to feel comfortable, and this is true for anyone. Like, comfort is important, like consent. Jezebel asks a repeating question. Becca Rose asks, are there people who can't be hypnotized? Sort of no, because trance is a natural state and everyone can be hypnotized. However, there are people that won't allow external influence, but these are extremes. Sock asks, are you neurodivergent? Yes. I thought this was common knowledge. Miss Self-Destruct asks, if you were an Eevee, what would you evolve into? I'd still be a Mew. I don't know which one would make the most sense. Sharkboy asks, how do you become more suggestible? Practice. Hypnosis is a skill, and like everyone, some people adapt to this skill more easily than others. Like, enjoy hypnosis, and the more you enjoy it, the easier it becomes. And yeah, I probably would be an Espion. But I'm still like, I like Mew more. I Am By asks, I'm guessing you have a file to help stop bad habits? Sort of. See, the thing is that, first of all, I'm not a therapist. I have the same qualifications as a hypnotherapist, which is none, because hypnotherapy doesn't have any qualifications. So I try not to do too many like therapist ones. Plus, stopping bad habits is as much about building up new habits as it is like trying to stop something. Andrew says, have you ever experienced the Ono second while coding? Of course. You cannot code without making mistakes. Although the Ono second doesn't happen while coding, it happens while publishing the code. When the code goes from like not live to production, that's when the Ono second happens. Nopyap asks, what is the most random knowledge you know? Randomness in computer isn't random. Flora asks, do you think we can talk about an addiction regarding kink? It's a very intense activity, it releases lots of endorphins and can get quite addictive. Yes and no. I don't think it's any more addictive than, I don't know, running or like gaming. Well, gaming is probably even more addictive because there's a bigger external influence. But I am no expert on this. I do think that like anything that feels good can become addictive. Hypnotic Ghost asks, what is a good place to start learning how to do hypnosis? So interestingly, I have anticipated this question, and I have a website which links to a lot of good material, which is faster to type than all the individual materials. Also on hypno.nimja.com/about, you can find a link to this and other site. I do believe I have a therapist fantasy where I hypnotize you as a therapist. Brian asks, what do you consider a good qualification for a hypnotherapist? There is no such thing as a hypnotherapist. There are therapists that use hypnosis as a tool, like psychologists and actual therapists and psychiatrists. Hypnosis isn't a therapy direction. It is a tool, like how talking is a tool, or how EMDR is a tool. Hypnosis is a tool that a therapist can use, and it can also be used by, I don't know, like a teacher, or it can be used by a dentist, which is a reference from like very long ago. Shark Boy asks, do you think VR will make for a positive future or a disastrous one? Perhaps both. I don't think it'll have that much influence on the future as such. An official Moose of Canada. Yes, like the thing is, hypnotherapy isn't a thing. Hypnosis is a tool, not a solution. Mokuli asks, what is the best vampire media you've encountered recently? Not really recently, but Vampire Bloodlines, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is quite a good game. Jezebel asks, okay, but isn't that semantics? If a therapist uses hypnosis as the primary tool, couldn't they be considered a hypnotherapist? No, because therapists have a qualification. Hypnotherapists don't have a qualification. They are a therapist that uses hypnosis as one of their tools. It's like calling a carpenter a hammer guy. A hammer is only one tool. And a hammer alone, hypnosis alone is not enough of a tool. It's just one of the tools to do change work. Nadine asks, how can someone's eyes be so entrancing? Patience and confidence. And there is actually Dutch in some of the files. There's a live which has Dutch. There is a confusion file that has Dutch in it. I don't think I'll make a fully Dutch file. And indeed, hypnosis has also been used as anesthetics. Quite successfully. And of course, as a programmer and hypnotist, I would just say that I program people and computers. Becca Rose asks, just wondering, what is your favorite or meanest punishment you've given to a brat? Something involving toothpaste, and I'm not going to give any further details. Hallo, ik ben Nimja. I do think that Nimja sounds slightly nicer than Nimja. Nopium asks, how much time do we have left? About 11 minutes remaining. Oh, about 10 now. And Iris, yes, bratting is like, I tell people what they do and then they don't. Or they say, make me. Also, you can thank Xenix for the very awesome make me as a definition of a brat comment. Arwen asks, is it harder to hypnotize someone who knows hypnosis? Not at all. If they know hypnosis, they're very likely to like it, so they are more happy to go into trance. Plus, it can be a fun challenge to sort of, like playfully try to trick them or to be more original. I had a really interesting session with another hypnotist when I was in Wales 2 years ago. Like we knew each other, and I was like, I want to do an induction with all the unfamiliar senses, because everyone uses like visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, or smell and taste. And I wanted to do an induction like based on all the other senses, your sense of time, your sense of space, your sense of position, and more. Official Moose of Canada says, I personally enjoy What Are You Going to Do About It? I mean, it's a bit longer than Make Me. And like the Anta says, make me, and then they do. And yes, geeking out with Imaginatrix is also fun. Oh, Wales had some amazing people present. Morkley asks, what do you like about pocket watches? Well, one of the things I like about pocket watches is that you can make people watch the pocket watch as it takes the time away. Oh, wow. Ace mentions an induction where you just spin a person around on a spinny chair over and over. I don't think I've done that. Wow. I don't think I've done like a dizziness like spinning induction. Deonta asks, are there any events coming up? I am considering carefully running something again at some point. There is a event coming up in the UK, but I don't know if I'm going there. You spin me right round like a record. Hypnotic Ghost asks, have you ever been anywhere else in the UK, like Scotland or England? Yes, I've been in Scotland in quite a few places. I've been in London, I've been in Wales, I've been in Southern Ireland. I've been in Manchester. I've been in a few places, not that many. Fauna Johnson asks, are there any snakes in the Netherlands? None. Well, there's one type of snake, but you might only see it once or twice in your life. They don't bite humans. They like run away from humans. I think they're called grass adders. They're very small and green and kind of adorable. Mokali asks, do the questions evolve a lot over the lives? And how? Not that much. I mean, some questions come and go. Sometimes there's really interesting discussions, and sometimes we get completely sidetracked talking about sprinkles. Brian asks, also, Brian, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pronounce your surname. Brian asks, what do you do if a subject doesn't want to move on, like they enjoy one part of the trance, and you try to move them along to a different part and they're like, no? Well, first of all, what are you trying to move away from? And depending on the relationship that you have with the subject, you can actually use this as a sort of carrot. Like, oh, you want to go back to that nice thing. Well, what do you want to do for this nice thing? You like being in this nice mindless state? 5 minutes remaining. Westlake Angels asks, will you say something for the littles? You've done well, and I know that everything will be okay. Yumi asks, some hypnotists say you can't remember anything about trance or hypnosis. Is it normal to still remember most or half of it? The idea that you would automatically forget everything in a trance is movie hypnosis, not actual hypnosis. Most people can remember everything. Some people can remember part or shards of it, similar to how some people remember their dreams better or worse. Nadine asks, do you prefer to use the bap with the shoe method when killing a spider? Not really. I try to avoid killing spiders if I can. Spiders are good. They kill mosquitoes. I mean, in the Netherlands, spiders are good. They kill mosquitoes. I don't live in Australia. Mastermind asks, if Wet n Wild wasn't a water park, what else could it be? A very enjoyable trancey adventure. AT asks, have you ever heard of Cheltenham? No. If it's a place name, it'd probably be Cheltenham, but I'm not sure. Fauna Johnson asks, are there any cold freaks in the Netherlands, like people who go outside in the cold with shorts and a tank top? Yeah, of course. Although in this season, it's mostly people who are like running. So, because it's not super cold right now. I don't see them as much in winter, but... And Iris, it depends if it's like a meat or if it's a city. If it's a British city, it's usually instead of ham. Because it's not Nottingham, it's Nottingham. And 16DJ, hello, you're a bit late to the party. I answered that question earlier. I haven't made any airplanes. Oh, yeah, there are some airplanes outside. Katie asks, what is your favorite or least favorite Dutch food, not including desserts and snacks? Favorite Dutch food. It gets complicated because it's difficult to classify Dutch food specifically. I would say Hete Bliksem is probably one of my favorites. It is a apple potato mash, usually with bacon bits and sausage. And Deonta asks, wait, you can do airplane sounds? Of course. I can do all kinds of strange sounds. I can even do like a sci-fi robotic airplane. Miss Self-Destruct asks, frikandel, yay or nay? It's fast food. Fast food is nice sometimes. The funny thing about Hete Bliksem is it's called that way because of the apple in the mash keeps it warm for longer because it has more fluid. All right, Last question. I did see a request for hugs. I think hugs is a nice way to end. Hugs. And I hope that in this world where things are still a little bit chaotic and kind of weird to deal with stuff, that you find peace and calm, and you have a place to relax, you have a place to unwind, and you have people that you can talk to. I hope that you will be well. Anyway, I hope that everyone had a lot of fun. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing and amazing me with your participation. Thank you also for supporting me on Twitter. Oh, I actually reached over 2 to the power of 9, that is 512 followers on Twitter, which I kind of need to put a post about. Thank you so much for everything. I wouldn't still be doing this like this without you. So, thank you. This was Nimja Live. Wait.